This is why Aaron Rodgers should retire now, not at the end of the season, definitely not in 2025 or 2026. Aaron Rodgers is ruining what is left of his NFL legacy.
You need to leave.
Facts first. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. There's no disputing that. I wrote that last year for talkSPORT.com. If you pull up ranking the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, Aaron Rodgers is on that list. I believe he was at number 8. So this isn't about hating on Aaron Rodgers. I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. I fully recognize that Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. 4 most valuable player awards. The hierarchy of the greatest. Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, the GOAT Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is in there. But what has happened in the last few years with Aaron Rodgers is starting to ruin everything. More specifically, what has happened this year with the New York Jets is an absolute disaster. Now, I occasionally cover disasters on this show. That's part of the fun. You can follow everything at talkSPORT End Zone. Like, subscribe, get in the comments, whatever you want to do. I did a bit last week on Jerry Jones, and now Jerry Jones needs to move on as being the president, owner, and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, and he's completely lost it by wanting to bring back Mike McCarthy. That dovetails into this video. The last time that Aaron Rodgers was really good in the NFL, it almost feels like Mike McCarthy was his head coach. Now, the Packers went to Matt LaFleur, and you have Jordan Love, and we can go on forever, and I'm sure all the hardcore cheeseheads out there know every single bit of Rodgers' history. But just go to Football Reference, the Bible for NFL fans, for sports fans. Pull up Aaron Rodgers' stats. There's no fake news here. This isn't the bad media. These are facts. You have to go back to 2021. 2021 to find the last time that Aaron Rodgers was an elite quarterback. You know what a lot of people forget? His last year in Green Bay, you know what their record was? 8-9. 8-9. They were not a good team. And at that point, it was already starting to go wrong for Aaron Rodgers, where it felt more and more like he was blaming everything else around him. The organization, the coach, the play calling, the offensive coordinator, the schemes, everything else except for the one person who's actually the most responsible for his career, Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to get political here, but all of the distractions, all of the me first Aaron Rodgers, all of the calling out everybody, fighting with Travis Kelce. Wouldn't Aaron Rodgers have been a lot better working a little more on making the Jets a decent offense than fighting with Travis Kelce? How dumb does that look a couple years later? If you're a Jets fan, I want to say that I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because you chose to be a Jets fan. But if you're a Jets fan, I am sorry for what you're having to deal with right now. You do not deserve this. Just like Cowboys fans don't deserve what is happening to them when they're that passionate about their team and all they want to do is have a winning, high-functioning, successful, well-put-together, well-orchestrated, well-run organization. The New York Jets are the same. Jacksonville is an absolute mess, but we kind of accept that because it's the Jaguars. They don't really get anything right. Doug Peterson, as I record this, is still their head coach. I don't know why. Trevor Lawrence gets hit in the head. Trevor Lawrence can't stay healthy. Trevor Lawrence is overpaid. That's what the Jaguars have to deal with. The Cowboys are the Cowboys, but the Jets, this was supposed to be a Super Bowl era, a Super Bowl team. But it all starts at the top for the Jets. And there's 2 people that are ultimately responsible for this failure. Number 1 is the owner, the billionaire, Woody Johnson, who I never understood this on paper, politically, just reading the situation. We all knew that Woody Johnson over Aaron Rodgers, they don't go together at all. The fact that Aaron Rodgers signed up for that, number 1, told you where he was at. It was all about him. Robert Saleh's gone. You've changed offensive coordinators. Players have come and gone. Zach Wilson. All these names come and go. And now we're at the point where it's time for Aaron Rodgers to go. The fact that the New York Jets have already acknowledged that they don't even know if Rodgers is going to start this next week tells you everything about this horrible situation. He was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He was up there with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana. I look back to what happened with Green Bay, and now what's going on with the Jets. It's not that different. It's more similar than opposite. Aaron Rodgers is in decline, and we've seen that in the last couple of years. Now, Last year was an anomaly. He barely played, but the whole offseason was a mess. Then this offseason was a mess. The fact that Aaron Rodgers, and it was just one day, but Aaron Rodgers had to go and take a trip. Where did he go? Egypt? He went to Egypt or whatever. You couldn't do that in the actual offseason. You couldn't do that in January when the Jets are eliminated from the playoffs. He had to do that whenever it was during OTAs, during preseason practice. The Jets clearly didn't like that. You had issues in the media. I remember when Aaron Rodgers agreed to join the Packers, and there was this list that came out of the players that he wanted. It's kind of funny because Aaron Rodgers, if memory serves, attacked the media outlet, said it was fake news. So much of that has come true. He's gotten exactly what he wanted with the Jets. He got Devontae Adams mid-season after his head coach is fired, and all they do is lose games. But again, let's stick to facts here. Statistically, Aaron Rodgers this season is worse than Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, who's already lost his job that he got for briefly with the Indianapolis Colts. Aaron Rodgers is worse than Joe Flacco. Aaron Rodgers statistically is worse than Jameis Winston this year. He is a bottom-tier quarterback on one of the worst teams in the NFL. The contract is not team-friendly. And guess what? Happy birthday. He turned 41 years old today. On December 2nd, 41 years old. Only Tom Brady was able to continue to play at that high of a level. And for all the post-career that's been about Brady when he's a part owner of the Raiders and he's doing the Fox deal and he can't interview players or coaches and he has to have the best of both worlds, that's the me first Brady. But as a player, Tom Brady went out of his way to take less money to keep the team together. Whether it was the Patriots or even the Buccaneers, he knew that's what you had to do. It's never felt like in New York with the Jets that Aaron Rodgers understood that he was a good quarterback who was aging and he needed all the right pieces around him. And he was going to have to sacrifice and he was going to have to be a leader and he'd have to be the focus of the Jets while at the same time setting an example for the younger players and the next generation. That's never happened. Occasionally you'll see, and it'll happen at talkSPORT, players will come on and say, Aaron Rodgers is misunderstood. Aaron Rodgers is misrepresented. He's actually a good guy. I'm not saying that he's not a good guy. This is the NFL. All that matters is winning. And when you lose this badly, and your head coach gets fired, and the players come and go, and you get exactly what you want, but you're not performing on the field, and you blame Mike Williams, and you're talking, about the plays that weren't run right. The stats tell you right now that there's nobody in the NFL that would trade a first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers. There's nobody in the NFL right now that would trade a second-round pick for Aaron Rodgers, or that would go into training camp next year and give him the job. He would have to fight to be a starter right now. So rather than go out like Peyton Manning or even like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers is going out in total decline right now, and it's sad to see. It's a shame. We all knew. If you're an NFL devotee, if you're in the UK listening to talkSPORT, we've all known for years, for decades, Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Right now, he's not even in the top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's playing on one of the worst teams in the NFL. I don't want to say it. I wish this wasn't true, but the time has come for Aaron Rodgers to retire, and he's better off doing it now than wasting another season in the NFL.